Hey guys, welcome to the channel. I think the last video was 1000 subscribers in YouTube, so that was pretty cool. I just wanted to thank everybody who's watching, subscribing, liking, whatever, all the good stuff. With that, I'll move on to this video. I don't want this to be a clickbait, so I just want to clear it out initially. I did get rejected by 9 schools, 9 out of 9 schools, but that was in fall. So if you're thinking then how did you get to ASU, I applied again in spring, and that's when I got into ASU. So the title of the video is technically correct. It's not like a clickbait, but yeah, now I did get admit. So I'm going to talk about like fall and spring both. Let me start with quickly the profile, like my profile essentially. I did my bachelor's in computer science from VIT University. My GPA was 8.05 out of 10. I'd also want to like rank, at least not rank, probably I'd want to say that what is good and what is bad in my profile. So 8.05 out of 10 is pretty bad if you're pursuing MS in CS, at least from VIT, because it's below average. I would say most of my friends are above 8.3, 8.4, even the ones that didn't study. So imagine how less I studied to get like an 8.05. So that's kind of bad. I did not have any papers, any publishing whatsoever, in any journal, no research work whatsoever. My work experience was I worked in 2 unicorn startups, so that was pretty good, but then it does not really matter when you're trying to get into academia. So, but I did work in 2 unicorn startups for around 3 years when I was applying for fall, and like 3.5 years full time when I applied for spring essentially. And my GRE score was 329. I had a full score in my quant, 170 out of 170, and my verbal was 159 out of 170. AWA, I don't think who cares about AWA, but I think I had 4.5. I don't remember, but I think it's 4.5. And for my TOEFL, I had 114. I had 30 and 30 in reading and listening. I think I had a 26 in writing, and I had a 28 in speaking. So that is the gist of my profile. So I want to quickly like rank how I did in all of these parameters. I'd say my GRE was above average, pretty above average, because I think I was checking for most schools, the average GRE is around 320, 325. Even for competitive, I think 329 should get you to the competitive schools, given that you have other things as well, like research work, which I obviously didn't have. GPA was low, pretty low. There was no research work, so that's like a huge red flag for AMBI schools. And I think my work ex is better than average. It's actually much better than average, like because the companies that I worked in are like very hot startups in India. But then again, it does not matter when you're applying for MS, not so much, because first of all, the admission council does not know what is the hot startup in India or hot startup in Bangalore, so they don't care. I mean, technically speaking, if I'm in the admissions council, I don't know how to gauge the candidate's academic performance or academic finesse through his or her industry experience. TOEFL was okay. TOEFL, nobody cares that much, and I think as long as you're above 105, 110, it doesn't really matter that much in the admissions. I think my SOP was okay. It was, I mean, I don't know how to really rank my SOP, but I'd say it's above average. And LORs, again, I think LORs would be below average because I didn't really have. So LORs are tied down to your entire experience, because I got my LORs from like 2 faculties in my university and 1 from like my manager in the startup that I was working. But if you had like a research internship and you got something from there, and if you probably did like a summer internship in the US in some school, that's amazing. Some people do that, and they end up getting to like the extreme like ambitious schools. That's like a rough gist on my profile. I don't want to waste too much on my profile. Next is I want to point out what I did wrong. The only thing that I did wrong, and that's not the only thing, that's like a big thing, is that I took the entire application process a little casually. So I applied on like the last day, so 15th December was like the deadline of 6 schools that I remember, and I remember applying to all 6 of them on 14th, like 3 of them on 14th and 3 of them on 15th. So that's like a huge red flag. There is no way I could have gotten. Anyway, I couldn't have gotten with my profile to these AMBI schools because my the list is pretty ambitious. I don't know what I was thinking, but I mean, I went ahead with it. But applying late obviously did not help my case. There is no way that can work out. I think it's good to apply for at least like 1 month, 2 months before. I mean, I think December, when I was applying for fall, a lot of people had their admits in October itself. So that's how quickly things happened. So it's obviously, which I corrected in my spring applications. But yeah, Now I want to go to like the schools that I starting from top to bottom. It's gonna be a funny list because it's extremely ambitious, and I had no place there. I mean, no, being very honest, I think I had a very good industry experience, but does not really matter. I had no research background whatsoever, and that heavily impacted my decisions, rightfully so. And I also want to talk about one important thing that did affect my decisions, because I mean, getting rejected from the Ambi schools is fine. Getting rejected from the moderate schools is also kind of okay. But there were some safe schools, like there was 1 or 2 safe schools that I did apply to, and I got rejected. And I think that happened because, first of all, there was a lot of like backlog in 2020. Nobody actually went to the US. They all deferred their admits to 21. So there was like a cascading effect. So a lot of 21 folks deferred their applications to 22 as well, and there was like a clog. So the admission rate was very low. A lot of schools stopped taking applications. I mean, they were still taking applications, so that was like almost like a scam. I think Virginia Tech, there was a Reddit thread where people said that Virginia Tech sent out a mass reject. I don't remember if it was Virginia Tech or U of Virginia, but I think it was something like that. There was a Reddit thread. So a lot of schools just stopped taking applications, or technically they stopped evaluating applications. They did take applications, people paid their $100 or whatever, and then they sent out a mass reject. And this happened because of the clog of 2020 admission cycle due to COVID. That actually hampered, I would say, my moderate and safe school applications, because I can still justify the Ambi rejections. My profile wasn't that good, but the moderate and safe schools, I mean, I know dumber people who have gotten in. I don't want to sound too cocky, but like that's how it is. I mean, you see the stats and you know how, like, where you are, right? So I can see why I did not get to the Ambi ones, but the moderate and safe ones, I don't know. But let's see. So first of all, I want to start from top to bottom. So the most Ambi schools, okay, it's gonna be funny, but the most Ambi school that I did apply to was UT Austin, straight reject. Then the next one, this is not in order. The order is, I'm ranking it based on Ambi to safe, and you can say like, okay, no, but Georgia Tech is better than UT Austin. So don't get like, I want to just say the 6 Ambi schools first, and then the 2 moderate safe, and then 1 absolutely safe. So the 6 Ambi ones were UT Austin, Georgia Tech, U Wisconsin Madison, UCSD, UPenn, and UMass Amherst. I would say UMass Amherst is not like super Ambi for my profile. I've known people who have gotten without like super heavy research background, but I think my GPA also was pretty low, so I guess it's okay. UMass Amherst reject is fine. Then there was NCSU rejected, and I know people with like 7.5 to 8 GPAs getting in without any research background. So in an ideal year, that happens. In a normal year, so a lot of like NCSU is not filled with the brightest bulbs, so I think I would have had a shot in NCSU if it was not in that particular admission cycle. Then there's Stony Brook, which is ideally a safe school, but yeah, Stony Brook rejected. And the last one is funny. The last one is UT Dallas, which I don't know how the fuck UT Dallas rejects people, but UT Dallas rejected me. That was my last rejection. I got hammered that night. I remember that was a bad space, man. But I had everything ready and I just applied for spring again. I think I started applying very quickly. I think UT Dallas sent me a reject in April, and I think I started applying again in June because I didn't really have to change anything. My LORs were fine, SOP looked fine. There was nothing more I could do apart from like humbling the fuck down and then changing my scale. So in spring I applied to NEU Boston. NEU Boston was my Ambi, and Virginia Tech. So these two were my Ambi. I got rejected from NEU Boston. I got accepted from Virginia Tech, but I got in computer engineering, and I think that wasn't in the Blacksburg campus, so I rejected, like I declined the offer. If I would have gotten Virginia Tech MSCS, then I would have probably taken it. Then the next one was UI Chicago. UI Chicago is good because I think from what I've heard, I haven't done a lot of research, but RAT is generally easy to get into, so a lot of people generally graduate with very minimal debt. So USC good school, but I got rejected from UIC. Then was ASU. So ASU gave me an admit like very early. So in August I had an admit, and I was pretty much like set on it because there's not a lot of difference between ASU and UIC in terms of ranking and in terms of industry opportunities. So that was fine. I applied to UT Dallas again and got rejected, which is, I never should have given UT Dallas a chance. And the last one was SUNY Buffalo, which gave me an admit, but I mean, it was kind of late. I think it was in September, October, and by that time I had already prepped my like financial documents for ASU. I think I had my I-20 as well. I think Buffalo was pretty cold, although it doesn't really matter because Buffalo also has good industry opportunities, and I mean it's pretty cheap. It was either way. I mean I was too set on ASU, so I didn't do like a proper very heavy comparison at that point. But it was probably like the weather. ASU is more chill, and I think I just realized that I mean I realized it earlier also. It's not something I realized during the application process, but I mean I'm not very good in academia, so I never did too well in my undergrad because I just hate studying like theoretical stuff, and I hate studying in structured fashion like in a classroom setting or whatever. So I flunked pretty badly. I didn't flunk, but I barely like grazed through the degree in my undergrad. So ASU is actually decent for me because the coursework is actually chill in ASU. So if I would have gotten in any of the Ambi schools, it would have obviously been like an honor or whatever to attend it, but I think I would have been very badly fucked because that's not my primary motive, right? To get into like research or do a PhD. I mean, my motive is to get into the industry, so then it doesn't really matter that much. Obviously it matters a bit, but yeah, that's what it is. I think if I had to like sum up all the colleges that I did apply to, QTA, Georgia Tech, Wisconsin is probably I just should not apply. UCSD is okay, UCSD is doable. UPenn and UMass Amherst is doable. Like I've seen people with similar profiles, slightly better profiles getting in. NCSU, Stony Brook, Virginia Tech, NU Boston, yeah, these schools are okay to get into. Like I mean it's like a black box, right? So I never did really know how I can get in or why I did not get in, but these are doable schools. UTD, ASU and SUNY Buffalo are like safe schools. So I mean SUNY Buffalo and ASU did accept. UTD rejected me both times, which I don't know what that was about, but that's the entire application process that I had. I do want to share something cool which I think I should have checked before applying, but like I said, I was pretty casual and I didn't really see the stats. I mean, not too much. I had a basic sense of how hard is it to get into these schools, like the Ambi schools, but I didn't really see in terms of numbers that much. But all the data is available, and I just want to quickly show it. So I'll pop the screen, and if you want to check like how many people got in, just Google like, let's say I'm showing Georgia Tech right now. So Georgia Tech enrollment data, enrollment report, something like that. So what I have here, Georgia Tech's website is pretty cool that way, like the enrollment part. So you can put like, I've put Spring 23 Atlanta because I mean nobody cares about the other campuses. Level, graduate, class, master's degree, College of Computing. I've put all these filters. I've also put like alien, non-resident, which is applicable for Indians, out of state resident, and you can see like the batch size is 353. So from what I've seen, most schools will have like a batch size of 300 to 500. ASU has a huge batch size. I don't know what the batch size is. That might be interesting to check. This is for UCSD, also a school that I applied to. So Jacob School of Engineering, Computer Science, 5,800 people applied roughly. 882 were given admits, 355 actually enrolled. I guess like a lot of people who have gotten UCSD will also get into other schools, so they'll probably choose that. Some people will choose UCSD, some people will choose not to. I've put like masters because I mean I don't want to do PhD. Another example is UT Austin. So admission cycle fall 22. I think MS Computer Science. Yeah, this is the one if I'm not wrong. So 39 people applied, 527 admitted, 332 enrolled. So I think the enrollment is roughly 300 to 500. So I showed 3 schools. I haven't put international filter everywhere, so I put it on Georgia Tech, but I think if I put the international filter, it'll shrink down. So unless you're in that talent pool, I mean, getting an Ambi school is very difficult. I also want to show like a Reddit post that I was going through recently. This person has got rejected from CMU MSCS. Okay, so I got rejected from all my ambitious unis actually. Stanford, UCB, CMU, UIUC, all are CS, no like MIS and all that. He got rejected from all these 4 schools, and the admits were UT Austin, UW Madison, UCLA, UPenn, and safe schools were UCSD, UMass. I mean, and this is the kind of like admit reject you get when you have a profile. Like now I'm gonna get to the profile. Undergrad IIT 9.72 GPA, GRE 329. Oh, GRE is same as me. TOEFL 111. Papers, 3 first author IoT, 1 published in IEEE, 2 journals under submission. I mean 1 publication in IEEE would have ought to do it. research internships, one summer international, one summer other IIT. Okay, some other IIT. He hasn't mentioned like which IIT he went to, but he said mid IIT. Okay. And then work experience 1.5 years in a company similar to FAN. LOR's international intern professor. I'm guessing this is from the summer international internship that he did. Then he's done a thesis in undergrad. What? SOP, people said it was good, aimed towards operating systems, file systems. Yeah, no shit, SOP will be good. And then the extras are best bachelor's thesis. Okay, yeah. ICPC regionals 2 times. Okay. And SIH 2019 win. I don't know what SIH is. Let me just Google. Is it Smart India Hackathon? Probably. I don't know. That's the profile that gets you into like UT Austin, U Wisconsin, and it still doesn't get you to UIUC, UCB, CMU, and what? Stanford. So yeah, that's the landscape. So I just want to wrap up this video by saying that it depends on what the applicant is pursuing, right? So for me, I'm pursuing like the industry experience in the US. So the school doesn't matter as long it's like not a tier 3 school, because I know people from ASU who has like better jobs than people in like a much better school. So it does not matter that much if you're going to the industry. But if you're coming for two things, if you're coming for like research, then you should definitely get into like the best school that you can possibly can, which also aligns with your research. For industry, I think it does not really matter that much. Location also is another, used to be very important, but now since a lot of interviews, like 90% interviews are done remotely through Zoom, so it does not really matter, because earlier people used to put a lot of weight on location. Like if you are going to like a tier 2 school in California, that's probably better than going to a tier 1 school in Ohio. Not that there are any tier 1 schools in Ohio. I don't think OSU is a tier 1 school, but I'm just saying, like, you get the point, right? So location used to be a very big factor, but right now it doesn't matter that much. So I think the more important things are like checking the industry experience, talking to seniors. That's what I would do. I think ASU has that, so I'm okay with that. And the second thing is, if you are coming for the experience of studying in the US, for example, whatever like we see, MIT OpenCourseWare or EDX and stuff, right? So if you want that like classroom environment where you are grinding academically, then I think college is really important. Then these tier 2 schools don't really do you justice. And I think I can say for ASU, UT Dallas, NU Boston, any of these schools won't really fulfill your goal. So then you should really get into a super ambitious school and do whatever it takes. But if you're not one of these two sets, I think 80% of people do not fall into these two categories, like a research heavy or like academic heavy part. They're mostly here for the industry experience. So for them, it doesn't really matter. I think it's slightly better, not that grapes are sour or whatever, but I think it's better because you can put like a little less effort with coursework, make do with it, and focus more on like other stuff like lead code or building side projects which will actually matter, like open source or whatever rings your bell. Is that an expression? I don't know. That's it. That's the end of the video. I think it's stretched too long now, and I'll end it here, and I'll see you in the next one.